If you want to use Soulfire with conjures active while you're using necromancy, probably gonna look something like this. And your conjures are gone. Which is not what you want to do, because you want to do a lot of damage and you want to keep your conjures up, because your conjures do damage and they take GCDs to get set up, like getting Haunt and life transfer, etc. So you might be watching some other people using necromancy and they'll do something like this. And they'll cast magic abilities. Without losing their conjures. So this probably looks giga sus. You're like, what the hell are they doing, right? So you can even G-chain your Soulfire. And the explanation lies behind the tick system. So I'm gonna get a little visual up here. Now this picture visualizes the global cooldown, so if you look at the bottom here, I'm gonna be hitting my Necro Auto, and this circular animation plays. That animation is 3 ticks long, which is visualized by each of these black lines in this picture here. So the way the game checks for making your conjures disappear is that every single one of these black lines here, here, and here, it's gonna check 1, do you have conjures active? 2, do you have a conjure equipped? So let's say you have conjures active, and then you don't have your lantern equipped. Then it's gonna delete them at this point here. Same for here, and same for here. Now in this window here, between these 2 ticks, is where you can use an ability. So here you can't use an ability, here you can't use an ability, here you can. Now here, let's assume that at this point, you have lantern equipped and conjures active, so you have conjures here. And then you do a bazillion inputs all through here, right? You do like a 10-way switch, and you eat food and you drink a potion. And then here, you equip a lantern. Then at this point, this black line here, the game's gonna check, okay, do you have conjures active? Yeah, okay. Do you have a lantern equipped? Yeah. So then it lets you keep them. That's the basis for how this works here, where I do Soulfire and my conjures remain. So what's the input sequence? Well, once you see the global cooldown go past this third over here, which you can see down here, 1, 2, 3, this third right here in game. Once you go past that third, in this window here, you do the following input sequence. So you swap to magic weapons, you hit whatever magic ability you want to. In this case, everyone uses Soulfire. And then you swap back to your lantern, and the way I have it set up is that I swap back to both of my necro weapons. And you get to keep your conjures. So again, to showcase it in game, it looks like this. And the game never shows your weapon switching, because the game thinks that you never switched your weapons, even though you did. So if you look at the weapons equipped to my character, I'm gonna do magic animations even though I have necro weapons equipped. Now, how do you set this up on bars? Because that's the tricky bit. It's simplifying the input sequence, because what I showed you in this picture, give me a sec. In this picture, we have 2, 1, 2. I personally do 2, but you can simplify it down to another 1 here. So it's technically 5 inputs, what I do. Now, you could bind every single thing there to 5 different inputs, but that would be very messy and like cluttered on your bars, and an important thing for PVM is keeping your bars tidy and organized. So instead what I do is this is my necro bar here, and this is my this is my switches bar for every style. So if I swap to magic, I have my staff here, and I have my prayers here. It's like style-specific stuff usually. So here I have my magic weapons bound, and whenever I do 0-tick Soulfire, I hit offhand, main hand, then I hit weapon spec, so I would do weapon spec, and then I hit offhand, main hand again. So that's technically just 3 different buttons I'm pressing instead of 5. That simplifies it down a bit. Now you can include prayer switches, but it's not that necessary. If your target has really high defense, what I do is, in my controls, I have special attack here, bound to 5, and I have InGen here, bound to 4 on my magic bar. So if the target has high defense, like let's say it's a Masket, right? What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna swap from Necro to Magic. I'm gonna hit 4 with my middle finger, and then 5, and then swap back. 5 with my index. So I'm just like rolling 2 fingers on my keyboard. And that lets me do it on, so actually I can just get, here, let me get melee, weak to water, stronger than me. So it's gonna have high defense, right? So if I try to use a magic ability, yeah, I'm on 74 because I have a penalty for using TFN gear. But if I use InGen, right, so let me do the same input sequence. So wait, that's okay, that's without InGen. So I'm hitting 3k. And if I go back here, then I use InGen, it hits full damage, so 5k, 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 which is really nice. That's what we want. We want to do big damage number, not small damage number. Now, if you get enough Lord of Bone stacks, usually, or if you're like doing group content, say of Hammer or BSA or Quake or anything like that, active on the target, you can start to use it without InGen, but if you're doing solo content and you're using Necromancy and you want to use 0-tick Soulfire on literally any target in the game, if you hit InGen before it, the bleed damage only calculates based off the first hit. So if the first hit has 100% accuracy, all the others do too. So if you end up doing it correctly, your 0-tick inputs will start to click that, where you get to keep your conjures up. Last little tip is if you go into PVME and you go into the bot commands channel and you write !0t, you will get a little explanation here, and I'll get another one up. If you use !GCD, it'll bring up this, which is an explanation on the tick system. And there's a little picture I used here. So yeah, I hope this explained 0-tick buff retention. You can use this for any ability in the game. You can use this to... Well, this was like a bit of a legacy thing, but people used to use this in the old Telos meta, where they would hammer without losing Aftershock stacks. But yeah, a bunch of uses for this. The hardest part is definitely just getting your bars set up to support it. But once you figure out what works for you, you will be doing stuff like this in no time. So yeah, hope this helped. Bye bye YouTube.